This is the Polyend Synth, and before I start my review, I just want to make a small disclaimer, because usually I really like the Polyend products. I think the step I recently got is pretty neat. I think their sequence is a piece of art, but I do have some issues with this one. Let's get into it. Here it is, the Polyend Synth. At the heart we find a number of RGB pads. You use them to play each of the engines in the synth, and they do feel nice. They're very light to the touch, and if you don't like the way they respond, you can choose the different types of sensitivity. I have it set to a fixed velocity because I find it a bit problematic that I can't pick the normal touch with a fixed velocity, because with a fixed velocity it's very light to the touch. So it would be nice that the note on function would register with a normal touch, but then at a fixed velocity. Despite that, they feel great to play, and you can arrange them in any order that you like, or almost in any order that you like. If you pick the grid, you can switch the layout, so you can have it in many different ways. Maybe not every way that you find fit, but there's a lot to choose from. Then at the top of the synth we find a nice OLED screen. Looks good from any angle, and then we have a master encoder that feels great, but we also have these encoders for the different parameters on the synth engine, and these encoders to me doesn't feel nice. I don't know if they made some kind of budget cut, because this master knob works perfectly, but these small encoders that you use to change like the start and end point here, they're very rough or very hard to turn. They don't feel very nice. You can't click them if, for example, you have a play mode. There's no way to push them down. And I'm pretty sure that these encoders, these 9 and these 6, are the same. They react to touch, but in my mind I'm a bit sad they didn't put just a bit more effort into these knobs, because you end up using them a lot when you want to either adjust the filter or the envelope, or you really use them a lot for making your own sounds. Next we have these push buttons to navigate between the different parameters. They're just fine, nothing special, but again, you don't need fancy buttons because they just have one job, and that's a simple click. I would have loved that these encoders worked the same way as this master one. At the core of the instrument we find engines. There's a couple of engines to choose from, and you can then put one on each of these 3 tracks. So you have 3 engines in total to play with at the same time. In this case, there's a blue one. The first corresponds to the blue pads, the yellow to the yellow pads, and the purple to the purple ones. If you want to choose or pick an engine, you just press Shift Preset, and you have the view over the different engines. You can choose either a monophonic analog vintage engine, a free oscillator virtual analog engine, a wavetable engine, a virtual analog engine dual oscillator. Then you have the 2-operator FM engine. You have a physical modeling engine, and you have a phase distortion engine and a granular one, and the newest one is dual wavetable engine. If we pick the physical modeling engine, we get a number of presets. And if we enter the preset, we have the different parameters up here that we change with these horrible knobs. So these are all the settings you get in this particular engine. You have 2 pages of parameters, so not a lot. If we pick another one, maybe for the yellow pad, shift, can maybe go with some fat. You have a different set of parameters, 2 pages as well, but as you can see, you do not have a lot of control over the engines. In general, I think the engines are a bit underwhelming, but I believe that's a firmware issue. You can always add more or update the one you have. So when you've picked your engines, you can play them however you want. There's a lot to love about this instrument. I love the multi-engine layout, the fact that you can play 3 different types of synthesis on the same time. I love the sequencer page. I do wish we had a bit more parameters to play with, either here or at the engines, but that's a thing firmware always can fix. One thing I don't like about the instrument is the output or the sound of it. It's a bit dull, maybe a bit boring, if you could say so, and I wanted to have some character. And then the knobs is not my favorite. Maybe they work for you. I hope it's just a matter of budget, because it's a really nice synth, and at this price, having 3 engines is a real deal. That's the Polyend Synth. I believe there's a lot of things they could have done differently. I don't know if they were rushing the release of it or maybe took too much inspiration from their Play series, or maybe just wanted to make the cost as low as possible, but there's a lot of things I would have done in another way. But all in all, I think there's a lot of neat tricks, neat ideas in this thing. It just might have been a bit too cheap.